Hey you all, so I am extremely late with posting this video on YouTube. I interviewed Lisa Durden in September, and she is a social journalist. She's a TV personality. She's an entertainment commentator. She does it all politically, entertainment-wise. And, you know, she rose to prominence when she was on the Tucker Carlson show. Her and him got into it. I want you guys to watch this clip.
It's a great holiday for bringing Americans together, unless you decide to promote segregation while you do it. A Black Lives Matter group in New York City threw a Memorial Day party and barred anyone who was not black from attending. This is what they said: being intentional about being around black people is an act of resistance. This is an exclusively black space, so if you do not identify as black and want to come because you love black people, please respect the space and do not come. Lisa Durden is a political commentator and Black Lives Matter supporter. She joins us tonight. Lisa, thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Good to see you again. You're doing well.
Thank you. I was confused by this because I thought the whole point of Black Lives Matter, one of the points, would be to speak out against singling people out on the basis of their race and punishing them for that. Because you can't control what your race is, and yet they seem to be doing that. Explain that to me.
What I say to that is boo, hoo, hoo. You white people are angry because you couldn't use your white privilege card to get invited
Lisa.
to the Black Lives Matters All Black Memorial Day celebration. Wow. Let me contextualize that for you. Memorial Day was created
I don't want
by...
you to, wait,
Memorial Day was
first of all, I don't want you to contextualize.
Oh, I need to contextualize it because Memorial Day was created by black former slaves in 1865 to honor those individuals who were Union soldiers who fought and died for our freedom. So Black Lives Matter, in that same vein, decided to get together with black folks.
I'm not going to let you filibuster past my
question. To make sure that black folks are celebrated for being murdered by racist terrorists.
I don't want to shut this down, but I will. Okay. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. I just have a really simple question for you. If you don't like people excluding others on the basis of their race, and as a society we agree that that's bad. I agree it's bad, you agree it's bad. Then why are you doing it? And why are you defending it now?
White folks crack me up all of a sudden when we want to have one day for black folks to focus on ourselves, but you've been having white days forever. You don't say the words anymore because you know it's politically incorrect, but you've had an all-white Oscars, all these movies with all-white actors, movie after movie after movie, all white TV shows with white cast over and over and over again. The Bachelorette, it took 11 seasons to have a black Bachelorette. Are you serious?
It's hard to believe. I hope you're not speaking for anyone else. I hope there aren't a lot of people in this country who agree with you.
Well, my name is Lisa Durden. I'm speaking for Lisa Durden.
I just hope there aren't people watching who agree with you, because what you're saying is so hostile and separatist and crazy. It's such a basic violation of what I thought we all agreed on, which is you don't attack people for things they can't control, namely their race.
It's not an attack. I'm stating the facts. People give weddings where they exclude children. It doesn't mean they don't like children. They don't know if your kids are going to be monsters and those kids are going to be well behaved. So in that same vein, Black Lives Matter decided to have one day where they didn't want white folks who are going to be off the rails. They don't know if you're going to be the ones behaved and for them or the ones who are there against them. So they pick one day to do the celebration.
Let me just ask you a quick question.
Go right ahead.
Do you think it's racist to exclude people on the basis of their skin color?
I think it's racist when you've been excluding people for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years.
Stop with your silly lectures. I'm asking you a very simple question.
We're forced to come together collectively to celebrate ourselves because you guys won't. You are the larger society. Let's be real here.
You guys, I'm talking about what I thought we all believed. Let me ask you this. Do you think it would be fair if white people did come to a Black Lives Matter celebration?
They do all the time. When you look at Black Lives Matter,
do you use the same water fountain that they do?
And you see Black Lives Matter coming together collectively for different issues. You see people of all races. So we do accept them. This particular day, they said, stay your asses out. We want to celebrate today. We don't want anybody going against us today.
And you can't celebrate if someone who doesn't look like you is around?
Yes, you can, but you can also say, I don't want to do it. It's a personal choice.
You're sick, and what you're saying is disgusting, and if you were a Nazi, I would say the same thing to you.
Luckily, I'm not a Nazi.
Because what you're saying is indistinguishable from what they are saying, which is, I don't care your opinions, I don't care your views, your life experience, your intentions. All I care about is the way you look, something that you can't control. And on that basis alone, I'm judging you, and I'm hostile to you. That's the case you're making, and it's divisive and wrong. And it's amazing that you didn't have to say that out loud, but I can't believe you're making the case you're making.
Unfortunately, when you have a racist society like America, you force individuals to come together collectively to make sure that they have a voice. And that's unfortunate that the racism has caused people to come together collectively.
Let me ask you a question. Is there a single white person in America you would have let into this celebration?
I'm not Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is a movement.
You're just an apologist for this.
However, I can respect the decision. It doesn't mean it's a decision I would have made. Maybe I would have. Just like a wedding where I might say your kids can't bring their badasses in my wedding.
Children are not an ethnic group. Every person in
You're
the world,
discriminating against people with kids. You're saying don't bring your badass kids.
Would it be okay? Yeah, but you see, okay, but there are white adults and Asian adults and Hispanic adults, and presumably they're basically the same as black adults. But you don't agree with that.
We have gay pride parades. We have Puerto Rican Day parades. We have all kinds of parades and days that honor individuals. We have Mother's Day. We have Father's Day.
Fathers are allowed to participate
just take your mama out,
I'm not sure you're even capable of having this conversation, so I'm going to end it now. Let me ask you one last question, and be totally honest with this. Do the people in your world, your parents, your siblings, your kids, your friends, do they agree with you on this?
My family respects my right to free speech.
No, don't give me that dumb answer. I mean, do they agree with what you just said, though? Do you know a lot of people who agree with what you just said? Whatever. No one's contesting it.
I'll see you next time on your show. You'll be inviting me on again.
Do you know a lot of people who agree with you?
Tucker, I'm going to see you again in less than a month. Ratings are going up.
I don't even know what you're talking about, and I'm not sure I look forward to it. But thanks for coming on tonight, Lisa.
And then so due to that clip, she also had a job as a professor at a university, and she was then fired. She was let go after this viral commentary that she made. At that time, when I interviewed her, she didn't mention there's a pending lawsuit. She also talks in an interview about how Megyn McCain changed for The View because Lisa Durden in the past, years ago, done an interview with Megyn McCain while she was working for iHeartMedia. She talks about her relationship with Megyn Kelly, and, she talks about the whole Tucker Carlson situation. So I want you guys to watch this interview. I mean, it's just real and raw. Didn't edit it. Watch this interview, and I do feel horrible for not even posting this earlier on. But let me know what you think in the comments below.
We met online.
Yes, finally. So let's get started. So you're a talk show host, a political commentator. You have your own production company, a social activist. I hate to use that term because I feel like we're all humans and we should all be treated equally.
I consider myself a social justice journalist, though. Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so Lisa Durden. So how's COVID treating you?
Oh, Lord. I'm staying safe from the Ronas, boo.
How are you making your money?
Well, actually, I'm lucky enough where won't say lucky enough. I have not caught the Rona. So luckily for the business I'm in, a lot of things I can do from home. But because of the shutdown, it has cost me a couple of small opportunities. I do a little PR on the side. I do actually go for freelance production gigs, and a lot of the productions shut down. So like many people, I had to apply for unemployment like other people. There have been lots of folks who've been executives at networks that had to apply for unemployment. However, in terms of my own projects that I'm producing, when we got a little bit more knowledge around the early part of the summer, late spring, when we thought about, because initially they said, don't wear a mask, and they weren't talking about social distancing. So around late May, early summer, I began a production on my own documentary. So I'm still working on that. That's in production now. And then doing all the safety precautions and things like that. So it just kind of propelled me into doing, spending more time on my own projects and less time on others because they weren't up and running anyway. So
it's fair to say that
it's fair, but at least I didn't get the wrong. Yeah. So far, I'm healthy.
So it's fair to say that you've been in the industry for over 20 years.
No, not 20 years yet, but about 12 years officially, unofficially. So I'll tell you how I started. So I started in front of the camera. So that's about 20 years. So long before I was a filmmaker, I was a journalist. So I started in front of the camera, hosting like magazine shows, mostly local, not like Entertainment Tonight level, but New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, those areas. And so as I was in front of the camera, something really weird began to happen. I began to notice And this is like in the early 90s. I'm lying. About 1998 is when I got my first gig in front of the camera. I know the exact date. So I did that. I did that show till 2000. 2000.
Well, that's the industry.
It might have been 1996 to 2000, but either 96 or 98. But either way, about 3 or 4 years. And so the show was called Brick City. We shot the show in a studio here in Newark, New Jersey. I live in Newark, New Jersey, but it went out to the tri-state area. And so one of the producers on there made me very angry one time when I pitched an idea to cover this young golf organization, because Tiger Woods was kind of big at that time, it just coming into being known. So a lot of little black kids wanted to be golfers. So there's a man in, I don't know who he is now, but a man in New Jersey started a company called Renaissance Golf Inc. So I thought, oh, this is interesting. So he's teaching little kids how to play golf. We have a very nice golf course here in Newark at the Weequahic Park here, one of the most world-renowned golf courses in the country. So I thought that'll be a great segment. So I pitched the idea to the producer. He said he'll do it. So we did the segment. We went out to see the kids play golf, and I wrote the intros and did all that stuff. And it's time to now do the in-camera stuff, in-studio stuff on camera. And then I'm reading the teleprompter, and it was like, the next segment's going to be about urban golf. And I'm reading this, I'm thinking, oh, it's called Renaissance Golf. So I stopped reading the teleprompter, and I said to the gentleman, Al Clark, I name names, I ain't scared. So Al Clark, white man,
of course,
I said, Al, I'm in my ear, you have an ear prompt on, earpiece, because you want to be a talk show host, right. So you have to wear an ear prompt. So I said, oh, Al, I thought you made a mistake. So I said, Al, you made a mistake. It's not called, urban golf, it's called Renaissance Golf. And I'm thinking he made a mistake typing. I didn't know about what, at the time, now we call it now, microaggressions.
IFB or something like that.
No, I'm talking about racist microaggressions.
Oh,
I didn't know the phrase racist microaggressions at that time. This is 96.
Oh, you're talking about the earpiece. My bad.
No. I know how to use that. I'm talking about the actual thing I'm reading.
Yeah, so he tried basically.
Right, but I thought it was a mistake because I'm never thinking about racism in that small way.
Right. So
you're changing the name of the organization, right? So I'm thinking it's as simple as he made a mistake, typing it and change it. He said, well, what does it matter? So now I'm thinking, what does he mean? What does it matter? If I tell you my name is Lisa Durden, it's not Joanne Smith, it's Lisa Durden. So I said, but it does matter because the name of the organization is Renaissance Golf Inc. It's a whole organization. So it does matter, Al. So change the name. So he said, well, I don't think it matters. But I said, well, if you don't think it matters, then what does it matter to you to change the name? And if it's not a big deal, then change the name.
So how old were you at that time?
I'm grown as hell. I'm maybe 30. I forgot 30.
At that time, you was 30-something years old?
Yeah, 28.
Yeah. And it's funny because you mentioned during that time, race relations didn't come to your mind. You just thought it was a mistake. And here we are now in 2021. It's like everything.
Because Black folks don't always jump to it's racist. People think they think everything's racist. No, when we try to navigate something and we can't get the answer and you giving us pushback when it's obvious that something is, the name is wrong.
Well, so I just think it was that time in general, because even during that time, that never came to my head. But now currently it's always there. So I think overall I separate, it's people of color, then I say African Americans. I don't put y'all in the same group because that's not how the media does it. But I separate you guys because you guys in the United States of America are more prone to minimalizations in different categories.
Correct. Because of our skin, we appear as Black immediately. You can't hide from your Blackness.
Exactly.
So anyway, I kind of battled with him a little bit, and then he did change the name, but I'm in the earpiece and he's behind the scenes in the control room cursing, well, what the F, and okay, I'll do it. He's banging stuff. I'm thinking, all right, fool, I'm not worried about it. So that was what I call the defining moment when I realized I need to start producing things so that I have control over the narrative and not let white people tell our stories.
Right.
Because I would have been embarrassed. I'm the one that brought the story in there. If the man would have seen the segment and would have seen that the name was Urban Golf, I would have gotten a phone call like, did you not know the name of my company? So I realized then, so that was my defining moment as to how I went from just being in front of the camera to expanding into producing. I remember the exact defining moment. So that's how I came to be a filmmaker.
Kind of reminds me about the Braxtons, how they're lower paid than the Kardashians. The Kardashians, they're half Armenian, but they're Caucasian. To me, I looked at them
or white adjacent, as we call it.
Right. Their father is pure minority. I look at Robert Kardashian, the biological father is pure minority, but with them personally, Kris Jenner is basically the matriarch of the family. She's a white woman.
Right.
A lot of people think she's Armenian. I don't know why. I look at her. She's not. So, but it kind of brings you talking about this kind of reminds me of the fact of Tamar Braxton, how they were lower paid, on WeTV. I know it's different networks, but still lower paid than the Kardashians, but the longevity is equivalent.
It's equivalent. The longevity is equivalent. The audience
talent is better.
The talent is just better, and that's good. Or it depends on who's looking. But you certainly they have as big of an audience.
They got talent. Let's just call it spade a spade.
They have a talent, and they bring in as big of an audience and things like that. They're just as recognizable. But of course, Black people and people of color, and then Black women. When you say now bring it down to gender, it's just worse. So it's not. So that was my first recognition of something's wrong here, and it's not always obvious, right? So I didn't begin being a social justice journalist. I didn't begin my career trying to be a producer to tell our own stories. I just wanted to be a girl on television, to get a job, radio, TV, and just go home after my job. But the racism forced me to have to be an entrepreneur to make sure that I have control over the narrative.
Right, and that's their problem. The Braxtons, they didn't have control over that narrative.
Correct.
And your personality, your personality to me is the same as Tamar Braxton. You're very over the top, and a lot of people, a lot of people they think she has a mental illness. Do you have a mental illness? A lot of people say Tamar Braxton has a mental illness, which is the reason why she's like that, due to the rape allegations that she came up with, or due to, her being the youngest, stuff that she went through. Do you have a mental illness?
No, here's the thing. I'll go back, but I love that. So in my other life, I actually was in pharmaceutical sales before I was in TV. When I left college, I just got a job. So I actually got the chance in the early 90s, like 90, 91, 92, to sell a drug called Zoloft for mental illness. We weren't talking a lot about mental illness, but depression. We weren't talking about mental illness, and certainly not in the Black community. So at that point, I learned about mental illness at that time. We weren't talking about trauma, anxiety, other things. We're talking about depression mostly.
Okay.
So I wasn't aware of the levels of it. So fast forward, I left the pharmaceutical companies. I had sold the drug for depression. I understood the disease and the illness and kept it moving. As a professional, I moved on as Lisa Durden, and I'm into the TV world now. But over the years, I have learned that a lot of people, particularly people of color, we don't want to talk about mental illness in the Black community because it's a stigma for anybody. But Black people have a deeper stigma because we already have other stigmas. We're the thief. We're angry Black women. And there's another stigma. So I learned that all of us have some level of trauma. So do I think I have some level of trauma that's slightly akin to needing some mental health advice and going to a mental health professional? Absolutely. We all, anybody of any race.
Well, what is your trauma?
I think trauma lives in our body. So there's kind of the big trauma of being descendants of slaves. So that's kind of like the historical trauma. But I've had indirect traumas,
Were you molested?
No, I was never molested, but it was interesting. Let me go back. So when I was younger, we were not the cool family. So we were not bullied, but we were tortured. Okay. So that's a really interesting thing, right? Bullying kind of is over the course of time. Torture can happen one day and never again. So whenever there were kids that played with us, they played with us by day, and sometimes when they felt like picking on a family, they tortured us. So it wasn't an ongoing thing all the time. So I didn't realize that was something I delayed. So that happened. Never any childhood molestation, never any childhood rape or anything like that. So that never happened. But also too, my mother was a beater, right?
Okay.
So the Southern people believe in spare the rod, spoil the child. So my mother was the one. My father was not the beater. My mother was the one that was the chastiser of the children. So she beat us. Again, I didn't think anything was wrong with that as a kid because that was the norm. You get that belt.
Shit, I got it too. But
right. But as I got older, I realized that was another trauma for me. It's not always so that was another trauma. Now, so those were what you call, just quick and dirty, the childhood things I could think of. So you have the big picture trauma called, a descendant of slaves. And from what experts say, even though slavery happened a long time ago, those things are still triggers because we're still being tricked. The institutionalized racism is now
How old are you now? Are you 56?
I'm 56 now.
56 years old. Okay, so you weren't really born into that era of descendants.
I was born in Jim Crow. Jim Crow ended in 1968. I was born in 1964.
Okay, so you're maybe 1 or 2, 3 years.
Yeah, but But even though legally it was over in 1968, the country didn't stop doing it to us because the law said stop. It took a long time. It took a long time for this country not to. When we got the right to sit at the counter at Woolworth, we still got thrown out, even though the law said don't do it.
Right.
There are still laws on the books now, and they still break the laws and kill us, and they still discriminate against us in housing and the medical field, although the law said you can't. So the laws don't stop people's behaviors.
Right.
So we still face these things.
They just beat around the bush, basically.
Sometimes and sometimes not. Yeah.
They do it, but in different ways. You know, that's what I'm implying. But I want to go back. You said you were tortured by the kids you were playing when you were younger. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Not bullied. So there were some kids who tortured us. Sometimes, you know how when kids want to do some little mischief, you're like, oh, we want to do some mischief today. That day, they wanted to do something to the Durdens, kick our door in and try to scare us at night at 2:00 in the morning, trying to kick us in like they're gonna kill us.
White kids.
Something. No, these are. I grew up in North.
Oh, okay.
No. I grew up in North. I grew up in a black neighborhood. You know, sometimes all skin folk ain't kin folk, as they say.
Right.
So just kids are kids, no matter where you live. Kids are just sometimes mean. So those kids didn't bother us every day. It wasn't like a long-standing bullying thing, but sometimes when they felt like doing some drama, we were the ones to do it to.
And then you brought up. You also brought up the fact that when you grew older, the fact that your mom beat you and stuff like that kind of traumatized you. Like, how did that start?
Yeah.
How did that start though?
How did the trauma start?
Yeah, it didn't start when she was doing it, but you said when they got older, it kind of like relevated to that.
Well, I didn't think about trauma. I didn't think about the beatings. I'm like, your mother's going to beat you if you do something wrong. That was what I expected. But I began to learn a lot about trauma and different things that can cause trauma. And I realized that how it might present itself differently from person to person. So I feel like, I don't believe in putting your hands on children for any reason whatsoever. It's abuse. But what it triggered in me was some of what you get on TV. Oh, when I turn up. But it triggered what it triggered in me could be good and bad, meaning I'm very much an advocate for standing up for your rights and making people feel the pain they're causing you. So in other words, I'm not one to hit, but the minute you do something to me that's wrong, I'm not going to hide it anymore. I'm going to expose you. That could be a problem for others, not me. So I'm not going to be quiet in a room with, oh my God, don't say it. And then because Queen Elizabeth is here, I'm going to say, no, you just did this. And why did you do it? No, John Doe, I'll give you an example, give you a perfect example. So I think that's what the trauma did to me with the beating, because I fight, not physically. I'll give you the example, perfect example. Yesterday, I'm in Elizabeth, New Jersey at the all night shop, right? Because it's snowing here. I wanted to get the food before it snowed. So they had this long line, but they were doing a great job at the shop right in Elizabeth, having a person who worked there telling people on the line which aisle to go in. Okay, miss, go to aisle 7. Joe, very organized, extremely organized, because the line is long, but it was moving great. So we're all on the line suffering. We're all on the line trying to get our food. This is just the world we live in. 6 foot distancing and you got to suffer. This white man in front of me, well, white adjacent. He could have been Latino, but he looked white. White adjacent. So, so the black lady who worked there told the white guy, and I'm using race because I'm going to get to a point of why I'm telling you these are the microaggressions. So I heard it because they're only 6 feet apart. So she said, she told him go to aisle 7 because aisle 7 was open. As he walked up to aisle 7, she looked and she said to me and my sister, go to aisle 5. So as we're going up, this man was passing by aisle 7 and went into aisle 5. I'm like, excuse me, she told you to go to aisle 7. He said, oh,
what happened?
I don't know. This is the time of the Ronas. I don't know what's going on with my people are in the building.
Cleared all my space. It's not me. I cleared my disk space and everything before I had you on. So let's skip about the aisle thing. Let's skip about that. Okay. Let's go move on. So, like you've been in the industry for 20 plus years. That's just behind the scenes, locally, whatever. To me, that's you paid your dues
in front of the camera, behind the camera.
Now.
Yep. Correct.
But you're widely known for that Tucker Carlson interview.
Yes.
Okay. So someone else is supposed to take your place, right? But something happened and then you did the commentary instead, correct?
No, they were, if you remember at the time, I'm guessing, I don't really know the facts about this, but Black Lives Matter, when it first began, it was a hashtag, then it turned into an actual organization. Then people broke out into different Black Lives Matter in New York, Black Lives Matter in New Jersey, different chapters. So I think this is the Black Lives Matter.
Were you supposed to speak on a Carlson show, or is it somebody else? But then they just
they reached out to the Black Lives Matter chapter, I think in New York, who were having a private party, and to celebrate Memorial Day. And from what I understand, the messaging was that the party was an intentional safe space for Black people who identified as Black or Black people only. Mm-hmm. And so when they reached out to them, they turned them down, mm-hmm. but they wanted somebody of color to discuss, well, what's going on? Why is it happening? Mm-hmm. And so I thought, okay, I understand what an intentional safe space is. I can speak on it. So since I'm a commentator and a political commentator, and I'm a social justice journalist who's been on Fox many times on different other programs, the producers reached out to me and I went on the show and spoke about what that was and what that might have been. Mm-hmm. And so people who I guess watched the show, who their audience acted angry. They weren't angry. That's the same thing about why these white folks stormed the Capitol, trying to act angry and say that they're not storming the Capitol because they know the president, Trump didn't win. They want to play a game. So they were not really.
Actually, during that video specifically on YouTube, there are actually more likes. Like you had way more likes than dislikes. And I was surprised.
Yeah. I mean,
normally on your YouTube channel, which I touched on, you get a lot of dislikes on that. But that Tucker Carlson video that I saw on YouTube, it's like they liked what you said. I was surprised that the likes were more up.
Yeah, I've gotten
the comments were mean.
Well, of course. Well, that's if you go out there with an outfit on, people don't like, you're going to get dragged for an outfit. Right. You never can satisfy people. Okay. But yes, there were some people of all races who thought she said the right thing. Mm-hmm. It's true. Racism is there, and people who are in spaces where they feel like they may be harmed, and they want to have a private party, just amongst themselves. That's not racism. You can't accuse a person who's a victim of racism to be a racist. A Black person can't be a racist.
Was this in the streets or was this at a reception hall? Like where was it?
I have no clue about. I have zero clue.
I have no clue either. I couldn't find it when I was researching.
So I don't know. I wasn't. I'm not a member, if you will, of any chapters of Black Lives Matter. But of course, issues. Yeah, correct. I'm a social justice journalist and I'm a political commentator. Now, because I am a Black person, and not all Black people agree with everything a Black person says, but because I'm a Black person who actually does agree with the need for Black Lives Matter, I had no problem talking about the issue from the pro side. You're pro con, I was the pro side. So that didn't bother me, but I don't know where the party was. I don't know,
Right. Okay, so it was a Black only event. So like nobody that's white, that's like pro-Black could attend, or it was just...
I think that they were, again, I'm left to speculate.
Right.
The phrase intentional safe space, let me make sure, the word intentional safe space is not something Blacks started. Actually, intentional safe spaces were begun by the gay community. Because many years ago, long before now, and it still happens today, but long before now, you could not be gay in some places legally.
Right.
And it would be your life.
Still
so
can't.
many, right. And many times you still can, but it's a little bit better than before.
Right.
But certainly there was a time in this country when you couldn't, period, at all.
Right.
So then the gay community would have what they call intentional safe spaces where they could get together and have these kinds of conversations, these discussions, a soft place to fall when they wanted to talk about the issues where no one's judging them.
Right.
That's something that was here long before Black people did it.
Right.
No different than in a football game when you're on the field and they whistle and say timeout and then they huddle in the corner. That's an intentional safe space. When you huddle in the corner at the football game, you're not going to ask the other team to join you for huddling to get your plans together.
So a safe space would be like someone like me, a person of color, or someone that's like white that's pro-Black going to this event. That's what a safe space is. But
a safe space, from what I understood,
but on the Tucker Carlson show, it was seen as it was just like only a Black type of event. And
it was a private party.
Yeah, and you supported that. If that was the intention of it just being Blacks only, then you supported that.
No, I said that's something I would not. In the clip, I said that's something I wouldn't have done.
But you're okay with it. Yeah, you're okay. But that's their intention.
But in this country, they like to talk about your rights when it's convenient. White folks love to talk about rights when it's convenient. It's your right to do it. Those are my exact words, and I still stand by that. Mm-hmm. It's your right to have a party, a private party, and not invite Lisa Durden for any reason. Mm-hmm. Right? If you're having a party at the job, then that's not the same thing because the job is not private, it's the company. Mm-hmm. Or if it's a school and you start telling some kids they can come and other kids can't come, that's a problem. I even gave examples. If you're having a wedding and you say no children, it's no children.
I know, I remember that. But to me, that's different. That's different.
It's the same. It's the same thing. It's a private party. It's the same.
To me, that's living as a human being, a Black person, versus not wanting whiny kids at your wedding because they can disrupt something. That's different.
No, right. But I'm saying, right. The reason might be more serious, but it boils down to the same thing. If you're having a private party for any reason, you don't have to invite anybody you don't want to. It doesn't matter the reason for the private party. It's private. Wedding, birthday, bar mitzvah, barbecue. Or Black Lives Matter having a private party to celebrate Memorial Day. It's all private party.
Okay.
Now why they chose to have the intentional safe space, I'm only left to speculate. Well, as we know, even before that moment happened, we had Dylan Roof, who was allowed to go in that church, and he shot up 9 people. Right. He acted like he liked them. He acted nice. He got in the church. They welcomed him, and he shot up 9 people. He shot up people, and 9 people died.
Yeah. Well,
so these are the things.
I think he wasn't happy with your delivery because your delivery on here is like different than your delivery on there. I think he didn't expect you to act that way. He called you sick, and I was like, wow. Like, I don't know if you heard him.
Oh, he called me more than that. He called me demented.
I know,
he called me demented.
Yeah, Tucker
demented,
but the sick part,
crazy, sick, a Nazi, a racist.
I was like, damn. I was surprised. I was like, wow.
Well, you have to remember, I'm talking to you because you're interviewing me.
Right.
This is not a debate.
No, it's discussion.
Right. This is a different type of Lisa Durden you're going to get because it's a different conversation. So when you're asking me to come on your platform for a 6-minute debate, that's going to be 6 minutes live. I have my talking points. I hit them all. It's over in 6 minutes. I'm out the building.
And you know who Tucker Carlson is. You probably knew what kind of avenue he was
and he knew who I was. And he knew who I was.
You was ready. You had it down.
He knew who I was. So I don't think we're all grown. I don't think I had no issue with Tucker Carlson and vice versa. We were grown. Yeah. They invited me on the show for that reason, to debate the issues. They didn't invite a person on there with a like view about it. They wanted the opposing view.
Right.
I was the opposing view, saying I don't agree with you. They had the right to invite whoever they wanted to their private party.
It was more of a safe space because usually, like you said in the Tucker Carlson video, that usually these Black Lives Matter events are different colors. I see a lot of white people and I see a lot of Black people there.
Yeah, the Black Lives Matter public marches and events, they don't care who comes.
Right.
This was a Black Lives Matter chapter having a private party to celebrate Memorial Day.
Different. If it's a chapter, that's different.
That was it's not only a chapter. If it was a chapter doing something public, that would not have been different. But it was a chapter doing something private.
Yeah.
Having a private party to celebrate. You don't get invited to people's private parties, do you? Do you know them? Like, do you get invited to a stranger's
Some people go for
party?
the food and they go back home. They don't.
Are you a party crasher? So yeah.
I know. And then one of your talking points was, bring about Memorial Day. And I know there's different discrepancies in terms of history of who created it and what, and who created it and who didn't create it. I was like, because you could bring about Lyndon B. Johnson, and then you could bring out somebody else, a World War I veteran who started the event. So, but there's, in history, there's different discrepancies. So my question.
Okay.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
The unfortunate thing about Black history is it's always changed. So that's why I wanted to make sure to bring that into the 6-minute piece to let you know here is the history. Not his story, it's the history. So Black people's history, they love to change it a lot in the books so that it can be whitened. So I wanted to make sure that I wasn't just there talking about simply the party and simply their right to have it private with whomever they want, but also maybe the context behind the party and why they were celebrating. That part was my speculation about why they were having a private party, but it was not my speculation about how Memorial Day came about.
Well, I think history overall have their different discrepancies because I'm first generation American. My parents, they're from Palestine. And then usually I'm trying to really understand what's really going on with the conflict and how it started and blah, blah, blah. And you just get different narratives and stuff like that. So you really don't know nowadays what's right or what's wrong to read. So how did you start getting your commentating jobs on Tucker and Kelly and with Megyn McCain and Chasing News?
Well, and people don't realize I'm a fun time girl. I've done fun shows like Dr.
Yeah.
I've done Dr. Oz. I don't always do the hard conversations about race. I've done radio shows. I've done Dr. Oz. I've done ABC, Here and Now, News 12. I've done a lot of shows just about pop culture. You know, Kim Kardashian's ass, is it real or fake? Or what's the best music out there to listen to? I used to go on a show all the time in Connecticut called CT Style to talk about the different things. What's the best gift for Valentine's Day to give your husband? Just different topics. But when I was going on different Fox strands, Fox and Friends, Tucker Carlson, the Kelly Files, they were always politically based subjects because that was their lane. So I talk about many topics, but how I began commentating on other shows is Phil, I forgot his name, a guy named Phil who liked me on my show that was local in New Jersey and Connecticut and New York, called the Lisa Durden Show, was a fan. And he said, you know, I think you'd be great for this show called It's Your Call with Lynn Doyle. You'd be great on the show. It was another show where they bring on panels and debate things. And I said, okay. He gave me the name of the show. I followed up with the producer. They told me to send some talking points, some of my areas of expertise. I sent it, and it took about a year of follow up, and eventually she used me there. And then got on that show several times. But then when I produced my first documentary about, quote, quote, at the time they would call it Men on the Down Low. This is back in 2005. When that got a lot of buzz on the festival circuit and all that, Michael Baisden invited me to be on his radio show, big time radio show, nationally syndicated at the time, to talk about the film. And that extra spark that led people to know I can talk about these various topics. So those two bookends are what actually moved my career more into the lane of being an analyst and commentator. But lastly, the onset of a lot of social media that built from like that time, and now we have a lot of social media, a lot more platforms. We have digital spaces now. So I think that social media thing breathed new life into my career as well. So those are the three things I can point to that has given me these platforms.
I want to get to that, but I also want to ask you, so after the whole Tucker Carlson situation, of course, the Essex College, you were an adjunct instructor, although the media outlets, they called you professor for clicks and views. You were fired. You're fired because of that, because of your commentary on Tucker Carlson. And my question is, I want to ask you about the lawsuit. Like, what was the aftermath of the lawsuit?
Well, I can't talk in detail because it's still underway. Really? It's still, child, that stuff this is gonna take years. I might be dead.
Are you getting money?
But
are you getting money?
Again, it's still underway. I have no clue.
Okay.
I have there's no way of knowing.
Okay.
So it's still underway. We're still, in the throes of that. There's nothing has ever happened. There's no court date yet. There's nothing has happened. It's just the lawsuit's been filed and we're there. That's it. But yes. And so I think that when people harm you, you have the right, because in this country, I like to say rights. In this country, you have the right to say you did the wrong thing. And I want to make sure you know that. And that's what's called, if you choose to fight in court, if you choose to speak out in whatever way, we have these places and spaces for people to now have at it, in a let's say court situation, to say, here's what I feel and here's what I feel. And
right.
There'll be a decision in the end.
They knew who you are. They knew you have a big mouth on television, just saying,
you're stupid.
They knew. New Jersey, people from New Jersey that do commentators, they're very direct and, very just big personality. It's not really the skin color and stuff like that. So they knew who you are. So, and that was your free speech. You were on there as a commentator. So I personally agree that, that they messed up. And me personally, as someone that was in college, I wish I would, like, the money that I spent in college, I would rather invest that into an adjunct instructor, because usually those people worked in the business that you're trying to get to.
Well, I wasn't an instructor. I was actually an adjunct professor.
Adjunct instructor, right?
Adjunct professor. There's a difference.
Change your LinkedIn, okay? Anyway, so.
What link?
Your LinkedIn. On your LinkedIn, it says adjunct professor. I went deep.
Adjunct professor. I should have.
No. I'm sorry. It says adjunct instructor on your LinkedIn.
Let me change that then. Thank you very much.
That was shade for you. Change your LinkedIn.
Shade. I might have shaded myself. Go ahead.
But anyways, I would rather invest the money that I did in college with someone like you, an adjunct instructor, adjunct professor that walk the walk and talks the talk in media, rather than an actual professor that just read a book and then all of a sudden gets a job through just going through the avenues of the levels of being in college.
It's like what Wendy Williams said the other day, because she's going around. She was promoting
that movie. Sucked. Yeah, it sucked. The documentary sucked too.
The Aaliyah
movie sucked. I liked
the documentary, but I didn't like the. Yeah,
I didn't like either.
She did.
I knew everything.
Yeah, There are some things I didn't know, but one thing she said in one of the interviews as she was promoting the piece, she said, you know, she went to Northwestern and she had professors that never cracked the mic. So how you gonna tell me how to be? Exactly. So I'm into that. If you're not a working professional in the field or has never worked in the field, and all you have is theory and books, which I have both skill sets, then I don't know if students would give you as much respect. It's not like they won't give you any, because she graduated with her degree, but she didn't have any professors who were actually in radio or in television or any of that. So it's always, in most colleges nowadays, they look for people like myself. They look for working professionals because people like you who are students want a person who's a working professional who not only can tell you about the field from real world experience, but they can give you internships and offer you opportunities and things like that, which I did do over the course of me, not just being a professor there, but I've always done that, because before I was hired there, I was also a person who would speak there very often on panels and go there and speak in the classroom before I worked for the college.
It's a struggle.
You know, yes, yeah,
a struggle. Oh my God, like a real struggle. Like, I mean, I use school just personally just to get my internships, because a lot of these stations, they don't want to hire you due to like lawsuits and labor reasons and stuff like that. Like, no, you got to be in school, you got to get credits. I'm like, all right. My school specifically didn't have the program that I wanted, but I was like, you know what, give me just study something that's close to it. And then started doing internships. That really didn't help. So thank God for social media, because that's, you don't have people to are looking at social media now, you know, in terms of like talent scouting, picking people up, that sort of thing, you know, but it takes time.
True.
It takes time.
Absolutely.
So you had a talk show.
That's how
What happened to your talk show you had? It was like a local cable show, correct? Lisa Durden show. What happened?
The Lisa. Lord. So
what happened? Why they canceled you?
No, well,
let's get into the nitty gritty. Come on.
Let's get into it. So actually, I canceled myself, boo.
You sure? That's what they say on TV. I'm leaving, but you get fired or whatever.
No.
What happened? Tell me the truth.
You might be looking at Chasing News. I'll tell you.
I'm not looking at anything. I'm asking you personally and based on
the Lisa Durden show
thing is.
The Lisa Durden show and Chasing News were two different things. So
I know what Chasing News is. I'm asking about your talk show.
Right. So no, I canceled myself. I canceled myself.
On the Bible, you got fired or no?
On the Bible. I don't believe in the Bible.
I'm not spiritual. I mean, I don't believe in the Bible.
So that's the wrong one. But no, the show was just on public access, which you don't get paid. You have to now provide your own people, your own volunteers, and it's something you're doing on your own. So it became very difficult to keep volunteers consistently, have people to work your show and the cameras and all that stuff. And I was over myself. So I just kind of like faded to black and thought, I have other ways and other platforms. I just can't keep suffering, you know. So it was just as simple as that.
So what was your viewership like? How many viewers were looking in?
Because, you know, I had to work hard. It's a public access show. So I had to work hard putting it on platforms, you know, putting it on Manhattan Neighborhood Network and you know, Comcast and Cablevision. It was more like my own legwork to spread it out. So at some point I've had about 1 million viewers. At some point over the course of my years there. And then it just became hard to do.
So you were being a salesperson as well? Were you calling different networks, trying to talk to different people, saying, hey, everything, selling it? So how did you get that opportunity? How did that happen?
Public access, I mean, they still have public access in most cable companies. So you just kind of like, everybody has their own particular way you get a public access show. It's not that difficult. So wherever you live, call your public access, call your cable network and say, do you have a public access opportunity? How do I get involved? So at Cablevision here in New Jersey, at the time I started, it was just writing the person a letter and getting a public access show. But then eventually they changed the rules where you had to actually take a course and be certified. So I was already on public access by that time. And then they began changing how you get on public access. So the last I checked, you had to like apply for an application. If they accept you have to go through like an 8-week training program and get a certificate. Then you can get a public access show.
So were you getting paid? Were you getting paid?
Public access, you drum up your own business, your own.
So you were paying your staff?
No,
or they were volunteering. I would have volunteered for free. I didn't care. Like
people did, but they didn't. They weren't consistent, or the number got changed. You know, so it was a little bit different. So
Okay, so now basically, you're not jumping professing anymore. Did you get hired by any jobs after the whole situation happened? So you said you had some calls on Roland Martin. You was on Roland Martin. You said people were reaching out.
Right.
What happened? Yeah, I went all over. Come on, tell me what happened.
You know,
the money wasn't working. It was the money.
No, if somebody would have called me to give me another job as a professor, why wouldn't I be teaching?
I don't know. Sometimes the money just don't add up.
The college professors don't get paid money. Good money,
I know.
Period.
Yeah.
So it would have been more of the same thing. So if I took that money, I would take other money.
So what do you think about your friend? What do you think about your friend Megyn Kelly now in 2021?
Well, that's interesting.
I know that's your friend. You call her your friend. So
yeah. So Megyn Kelly is an interesting individual.
Or should I say that mannequin, Megyn Kelly? I've called her a mannequin on my channel.
So let me just say this.
I said some mean things about her.
I do not feel sorry for Megyn Kelly getting fired, because her kind of fired I would love to have had. She left with a multi-million-dollar check when she got fired. So really, when you're rich, you're never fired. So that's number one. Number two, she never mistreated me when I was on her show.
Okay.
In fact, when I was on her show, she would never let people call your names. In fact, when I was on her show, if there was a debate with me and somebody on the panel, she would say, "No, let Lisa talk." Okay, then you talk. And she also didn't.
That was in 2016.
I was on her show
2015, 2016.
I don't recall. Yeah, probably around there.
The respect. Okay. Okay. So, keep going.
So it wasn't a thing where she was like a Tucker Carlson, where literally attacking you personally in a racist manner. Now, do I think that Megyn Kelly's a racist, or maybe not an anti-racist? Yeah. Do I think she's some kind of rabid racist where she wants to have, storm the Capitol and kill people? No. Because a lot of people who are racist are not necessarily running around storming the Capitol, or that matter would kill a black person.
I think we all have prejudiced ways. I'm just going to be real. I think we all do. Yeah, I think we all do.
Yeah, I think we all have biases. Yes.
Biases, or whatever you want to call it. I think we all do. Yeah. But I think with her being fired with NBC. Go ahead.
But let's be real clear. I always knew what that was. I always knew what that was when I was on her show, the Kelly Files. I always knew I was going into the building of Fox, that this was a debate. I was on the other side of the conservative side. I was on the liberal side. I always knew why I was being called. It was all about business. There was no mistake that I was there to debate the conservative side. So I never had any misconceptions that, we're going to be coochie crunch when we leave here. Hey, girl, hey. It was not that type of party.
So y'all never were friends like that?
No.
Okay, that's what I say. To me, that's a friend. I don't use that word loosely. A friend is like when you call somebody on the phone personally, go out for coffee, go to the movies. But okay.
Most of my professional relationships are not friendships.
People in Hollywood aren't friends. That's what I say. People say I'm negative for saying that, but in my opinion, people in Hollywood.
All of my friends came from childhood, except for one girl I met when I was
old school. To me, a friend is like you go out to dinner with, or you go out to the movies, or you just chill.
I feel like
back,
I feel like there are people who I've worked with or worked for. I'm friendly with them if I'm in their face. Like we can laugh and talk about stuff outside of the job while we're there eating lunch or something. That's friendly. So are you my friend in the sense of friend? No.
Yeah. So more as an associate type of deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's funny because she treated you nicely.
Cordial associates, cordial.
Maybe she wasn't intimidated by you because Sonny Halston from The View has a different disposition about Megyn Kelly. Like off the camera, very nice. On camera, very mean and rude and challenging.
She was never mean or rude to me.
Well, maybe she didn't find you intimidating because Sonny and her are lawyers. They got law degrees.
I can't. I can't.
Maybe she saw you as low rent that Sonny Halston was called by Barbara Fredita.
Right. Now I saw D.L. Hughley on the show, and they had a wild battle.
Oh yeah, he was giving it to her.
But he was giving her, but he was giving it to her more than she was giving it to him.
Right.
So I guess it depends on what sparks it, how the interaction goes. But I was never treated like that. But I was not under any misconceptions that she was a liberal or that she agreed with me, because she made it clear she didn't agree.
Right.
But she never allowed anybody on the show, if we had a panel, to call me names or to not let me talk in that segment. She would say, "Stop, let Lisa talk." Okay, then Joe Blow, you can talk. So that's all I want from people is respect. So that's how that works, because you can disagree and respect the person at the same time.
Yeah,
so I think I will say she did do.
Me personally, I think she was like a culture virtual in terms of like how she can jump her career even more. You see what I mean? Because now Trump basically read her for filth, like back a few years ago, several years before earlier on in his presidency, and now they're like, now she's defending him. So it's kind of like, and he made her popular. He made her popular. Yeah. So.
I think she was known before. No, that.
I didn't know her until Trump did say what he said.
No, I knew her before that because I'd been on the show before.
Yeah.
When she was the one that was the moderator of that first debate, then of course when he said,
Everybody knew who she was after that. She became mainstream. Let's just keep it real.
Yeah.
And me personally, I don't think, and I don't want to say their name, but whatever. NBC, who gives a damn? NBC, I don't think NBC fired her because of blackface comment. I think NBC fired her because she wasn't pulling it in numbers. Who she was replaced by, where Al Roker and Tamron Hall, you know, like I said, I didn't cover on that, whatever. They just used that race stuff because NBC is known for their racist things on it, you know, with Nick Cannon and Gabrielle Union. So, I mean, they just used that. They used y'all. You know, urban culture is pop culture, and you know, it's powerful. I don't think how you guys realize how powerful you guys are, like African American people.
Well, I think we know that, but unfortunately, you have to still navigate in a world that you don't own.
Right.
We have in order for us to get our voices out, sometimes we have to be on platforms that are not friendly to us, because it's still a platform that you can get the messaging out. And as long as you get that messaging out, and some black people do not go on Fox, and they won't go, and some black people don't mind, like D.L. Hughley goes on there. He's not afraid of that. He doesn't mind going into enemy territory and saying what he's got to say. Some blacks are like, I don't mess with Fox. It's all kinds of ways to show your activism or to show that you care about your community. But unfortunately, what people don't realize is there's 46 million black people in America. And even if you have a few black businesses and a few rich black people, they can't employ all 46 million black people.
Of course not. No.
So we have to work for a white person 9 times out of 10. Most times they might be racist. We have to go on platforms that are all white platforms or white networks or whatever to be able to say, or be in a movie with a white director if you're an actress and you hope they treat you good. And all of these things, work for a white, you know, firm or whatever. You know, you're on a white platform. Black people don't own YouTube. So we have to do these things.
Be careful now. I don't want to get shut down.
No. YouTube is cool. It's no problem. I'm just saying it doesn't mean that because the platform is a white-owned platform, it's a bad platform. I'm just saying we black people are coming from so far behind for so many years of slavery and Jim Crow that we don't have a lot of ownership. So we have to navigate the best way we can to get the messaging out, to control the narrative, to be able to say we have a right to be in this space and place and those kinds of things.
I personally think if the racial disparity wasn't so high with the African American communities, and if it wasn't so like so powerful in terms of how mistreated you guys are, I think personally people wouldn't care. Like white America wouldn't care about you guys. Do you think that way as a black woman?
I don't think white America cares about us anyway.
Well, maybe inside they don't, but in terms of, since you guys have a voice, and I said you guys are powerful, I feel like if you guys didn't have a voice, and if you guys weren't as powerful as you guys are now, I feel like they wouldn't really like make moves, like do things for you guys. The little things they've done for you guys. You see what I mean?
But whites have done nothing for us. They've enslaved us.
Well, I'm talking about like
you maybe need to give me an example.
So I'm speaking of maybe marrying interracially or being in the same like building as a white person, going to school.
Well, actually, white people didn't do it right. So marrying interracially and or marrying who you want. Doesn't matter the race. So marrying who you want and being in buildings that are public buildings,
voting, stuff like that. You know,
right? Those are not things white people gave us.
No,
those are inalienable rights in this country. That's in the Constitution.
Yeah,
so they didn't give black folks anything. We reminded them that we have the same rights as white folks. So we're going to make sure we make noise.
That's what I'm saying. It's through power.
Well, no power. That's through taking. Black people have always taken something like as simple as a piece of fat back that we were given in slavery and made it taste good with the seasoning. Black people from Africa don't eat fat back. That's not in the diet of Africans.
Okay,
but,
well,
so we
your music,
always
perfect example. Right. BET creation, hip hop wasn't really seen as something mainstream back in their day. So with the power of the music, you guys have changed the platform where now white folks tout to the big booties, big lips. Let me just take it to that instead of talking about marriage and all of that stuff. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
And I'm asking you that
see, when white people stole our music, they still are they're culture vultures.
Because
they're not giving us anything.
Powerful. It's gotten powerful.
But you said they're giving us something. They're not giving us that. They're stealing it from us.
I'm not saying, I guess giving is the wrong word, but making it okay.
Try the word, boo. I love you though.
Making it okay to be black, being in the same building as a white person.
Making it okay to be black when it's convenient, because they love hip hop until they want to kill us with the cops still today. So they want to have the big booties and the big lips when it's convenient.
Right.
But when it's time to hire us, when it's time to give us an apartment, when it's time to fairly pay us, they're still not doing it. So certain things when it's convenient, yes, I understand that when it's convenient. Yeah.
Well, but that's what power, though. If you guys didn't have that power, conveniency wouldn't be involved. That's what I'm trying to say. You see what I mean?
If we had power, we would not be shut out of.
But you guys have power.
Jobs.
You guys have some power.
I mean, everybody has some power on some level. Absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah.
And I'm speaking this way because I'm first generation American. I'm Palestinian. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the history that goes around there, but in America, when you speak,
and you need to try to interview Mark Lamont Hill. He speaks a lot about that. I like Mark Lamont Hill about Palestine.
I tried. I reached out to him the other day. Actually, we had an exchange on Twitter.
I like him.
And I'm going to get to that. We had an exchange on Twitter, but I don't think he's going to respond. I don't know. But anyways, I respect him though. But anyways, I speak about that because here in America, when you speak of Palestinian human rights, it's automatically seen as anti-Semitic. You get all of this political jargon. Right. That's because the racial disparity is high, but we don't have that voice that Black people have. That's where I was going with that. You see what I mean?
I understand. As compared to other,
and you get fired, like Dr. LaHill allegedly.
Well, you ain't got to tell me I got fired. You don't have to tell me.
But that's where I was going with your question, because you guys have that power. But Palestine, like what your ancestors went through, is what they're going through now overseas. Right. Limited education, limited water, limited electricity, limited goods. You can't marry somebody across borders. You see what I mean? So they're going. My parents had to flee that, move to Jordan to go to 80% of my family's in Jordan because they fled all of that stuff that happened in the early age. So that's where I was going with the question.
I understand.
And so I feel like if you guys didn't have that power, you guys probably wouldn't be where you guys are at the moment. You see what I mean?
Yeah. If we didn't have certain leaders that gathered and made it important for us to stick together to move what they call movements, to move things along wherever we're moving it to, whether it be civil rights or voting rights or whatever over the years, Black Lives Matter and whatever. No, we wouldn't have the rights that the country said we all should have, period. The small amount of rights, even still now with COVID, as you know, even with COVID-19, Black folks ain't getting those. They're giving out the vaccinations to white people and they're ignoring Black people and people of color. So they're finding out now, of course, I'm not shocked that more whites are getting it than people of color, Blacks and people of color. So that's by design. So even with something like that, they're being unfair with the vaccine. Although I don't want to take the vaccine, but if I wanted to take it, but if I wanted to take it, I would want to be able to take it when it's time for, when they start saying, okay, now it's not just the elderly, it's now regular population. Okay, go. When they put the green light on it, I would not want to be stopped. Or you don't have it in my neighborhood, or you're giving it to some folks in the community, not other people in the community. So I mean, I would have a problem with that if I wanted the vaccine.
Right. So what do you think of nepotism, Megyn McCain? You've been on her radio show before.
Actually, it's funny about Megyn McCain.
What do you think about her?
I like her on The View. She tears that shit up. She tears it up. I like her on The View. I didn't like Elizabeth Hasselbeck. Elizabeth Hasselbeck was, to me, a rabid racist. A rabid racist and just dogmatic in all areas. Megyn McCain pisses me the hell off sometimes. I'm like, Megyn McCain, shut the hell up. I get that moment where I say that to her. But then sometimes I go, ooh, Megyn, yup. Or I go, oh. Or sometimes I'll just go, like a tennis match. Boop. Boop, and emotions I enjoy. So she gives me all of those emotions at some point along the way. So I do think it's important for these networks to have, if you want to claim journalism, a balanced panel, although it's not balanced. She's the only Republican, but I don't have a problem with her there. So I think that she serves the right purpose. She has her audience. She stands up for the Republicans. Sometimes the things she says is ridiculous, but I don't always agree with Whoopi Goldberg.
Well, it's what her husband tells her. It's what her husband gives her. She's not smart.
But sometimes I've said, Whoopi Goldberg, shut the hell up. I've screamed at the television at Whoopi sometimes, and sometimes Joy. So I don't always agree because I'm a Democrat and so are they.
Right.
But I do think the show overall is entertaining. It's good. They have a nice mix of battle at times, and sometimes they agree.
So how did you end up on her radio show? How did you end up on her?
Well, because again, I got called for different people. So
She called you or her team?
No, a producer, America Now. Now, the weird thing about Megyn McCain, which is weird, I was surprised to see how she was on that show on The View. She was nothing like that on the radio show. She was not.
She wasn't.
Nothing
I listened to it. I listened to it.
Yes.
I listened to her other interviews.
Right.
I talk about her a lot. She blocked me. Her husband blocked me too. They know I don't like
damn.
Yeah, they don't like my people. They don't. She's not for Palestine.
Right. I've heard. Yeah.
We're not asking for a piece of land that we once had. We're just asking to be treated like human beings, not like some type of ant on the wall that you can be squashed. But she doesn't.
Correct.
She thinks she's Jewish. or she gets emotional about Jewish rhetoric, like, you know,
McCain. Is McCain Jewish?
No, she's not Jewish, but she gets teary-eyed about it. She has a friend. Her name is Barry Wise. She worked for the New York Times. She's Jewish. She got. She plays victim like Megyn McCain. You know, she resigned from New York Times. So, So go ahead. I'm sorry.
When I would get called by the producer, it would be, you know, whatever kind of hot topic or whatever. Sometimes it was just random hot topic stuff or random, you know, social justice stuff. Or I mean, random. It could be pop culture. It wasn't always about race, and sometimes about race. So I just get to the race discussions. Whenever we had discussions about Black Lives Matter and different stuff, she never debated with me. She would ask me questions and listen. And so, do you think this? And she would be more in the facilitator position. She never battled me. She never argued with me. She never debated with me. She would just ask me questions. And if I commented, she would go, "Well, then what about that? And like, how you doing? You're giving more commentary." And then she would say, and then it was never a war. And she got to know me so well. She said, "Oh, my mother loves you." Like, she was cool. So I just
her mother loves you. She knows.
In other words, her mother listens to the show when I'm on it. So the thing is, I didn't feel like that was her position. She felt like I'm just interviewing a person who has something to say about this, and that's the position I'm in. But I think so. Then I'm thinking, okay, fine, it doesn't bother me. I'm ready for whatever. You know how I roll. But when I saw on The View, I'm like, wow, that's a different Megyn. But she's not. That's not the position she's in. The facilitator's Whoopi, and they're there to tell their view. She called me her producer called me from my view when she was the host of her show. So I think that's why I'm seeing a different Megyn on The View. Yeah. So I didn't feel, well, you know, I'm that kind of person where I can take a Megyn McCain, I can take a Kelly McCain, Kelly. I can take a Tucker Carlson. Like, I'm fine either way. When I'm on a show and I'm called to do commentary, whether it be fun topics or tight, hard subjects like race or about women, I'm ready for whatever. I come with barrels, pow pow, as Wendy Williams says. I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah, but
so for me
personally, watching her, I've never heard her say anything like against Black Lives Matter or anything.
I think she's fine with that. Yeah,
it's more about like foreign policy, like with my situation, or saying what her opportunist plagiarist husband talks about and gives her talking points, you know, and stuff like that. Her husband. I don't know if you know about her husband. I think she's not. I don't think she's like a totally dogmatic Republican. I don't think she's a conservative. I don't think she is. I think she's a pretend, like Trump. I think she's a pretend conservative.
No, Trump is something else.
You got to dig into her past. You really got to dig into her past. You know, the party scene and all of that stuff. And her husband on Twitter says, "I don't want her" in 2012. Like, somebody said, "You should date Megyn McCain." Did you see that tweet? He wrote, "I do not want." Like, in 2012. Then they dated in 2015. Her husband's. I've been saving that for a new video, but her husband's opportunity. Her husband's opportunity.
Yeah.
You don't love her. He married her for opportunity, you know.
Okay. Well, you know, it's what it is, but you know. So no, but with her I had no issues with it.
For Washington Post and he got fired.
Yeah.
He plagiarism. You know about that, I'm sure.
Well, But you know, so no, I had no issue with her. And I do like her on The View. Even though I don't like most of the things she says. I don't like her
as a person, but I like her there for the entertainment.
Right, exactly. I don't know much about her as a person, but the entertainment is great. When she has meltdowns and stuff and she stomps, I just love it. Yeah. Oh yeah.
She's racist. I think she's racist. I think she got a little racist.
I don't think she's a gonna storm the Capitol race.
No. I don't know.
No, I think it's me. I think it's me because it's been happening before. I think it's because a lot of people using this. I don't know. I gotta call the cable network. But anyway,
no, you're good.
So
it's probably me. It happened to me before I interviewed Dr. Black from the Times to call her. I don't know if you saw the interview, but I cleared my space. I cleared all my storage space and everything. And so, I mean, I don't know. I'm on hotspot. So, I mean, it could be that my Wi-Fi hotspot.
No, it could be.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. But that's the gist of that. So, you know, that's my thing about Megyn.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between being a racist and being mentally ill and racist. You see what I mean? So the Dylan Roof, I'm sure. What?
Yeah. Well, you mean like Dylan Roof? No, I'm saying everybody's mentally ill to you? Oh, you funny.
No, I said there's a difference between being a racist and then being mentally ill and a racist. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, that's true.
She's in different category. She's in different category. That's what I'm saying.
Right. You know? I understand what you're saying. Yeah,
I guess people say racism could be a mental illness as well. So I mean,
no, I can't give that an excuse. That don't.
Trevor Noah says that. Trevor Noah's a nice
guy. I don't always agree with him, although I love him. No Trevor Noah. No
he
Trevor
says,
Noah.
No, he says it's a disease. That's what he calls it. He says,
oh, right. It's a disease. Right.
Yeah,
it's not a mental illness. Right. The mental illness is not
my
the
bad.
disease.
My fault.
It's a disease of hate.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So she was nice. She was nice to you.
Yeah.
And she wasn't before The View, on Wendy, on The View, when she would come and visit on her other shows that she had.
Yeah.
Very nice and everything. I think her inspiration is your friend, Megyn Kelly, or your former, was your friend, Megyn Kelly, but that's not her inspiration anymore either. And they're kind of like the same, intertwined, like with how they are. Why are you making that face?
No, I'm because I'm totally agreeing with you.
That's her inspiration. That's what she says. Her inspiration.
I'm thinking, yep.
Inspiration. She wanted to be just like her. She said that out of her mouth. Yeah.
So, that was her. That was her.
She used to work for the Daily Beast, a blog that basically reads her for filth now, and stuff.
Well, to me, I mean, I don't know what all
read the articles.
Megyn. I don't know all of Megyn. I don't know all of Megyn. Well, Megyn Kelly's climb. I know she's a lawyer, but
I'm talking about Meghan McCain. I'm talking about her.
That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, but Meghan McCain. Maybe it's just because I was born poor and I'm still poor. I just don't.
You're not poor. Stop that.
I don't think. No, I'm poor. I don't think I don't want to hear nothing from rich people. I don't.
Me either.
I don't want to hear rich people problems. You already have the hook of your father's John McCain. You don't have to work hard to get any opportunities.
She's talking about stocks the other day, GameStop stocks, and we're in a pandemic.
I saw it. She said
I did a video on that. Yeah.
Now, my thing is, it doesn't mean that because the person was born in a rich family that they don't know what hard work means. I don't think that Megyn is not smart. She didn't go to college. She did all those things.
She got an art history degree. Nothing to do with what she's doing now.
But the door is always open when you want to do something with right. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you don't get up in the morning and go to work and you don't try, but the door is always open that we can't even find.
Yeah. She's a fake conservative. Although her father didn't win presidency, you're still technically, quote unquote, the first daughter. So you got to fall in line with what the Bible of the family is. You see what I mean? Right. Conservative, Republican. But she's very different from her mom. Her mom and her. And I think her husband is brainwashing her, kind of like the Kevin Hunter, Wendy Williams, Tamar Braxton, Vincent Herbert, Mary J. Blige, can do a lot. When women are in front of the scenes and then the men are in the same industry, but behind the scenes, they get some kind of jealousy and controlling that goes on there.
Yeah.
So
I don't see it with Meghan McCain, but
you don't see it because her husband's like far back. Right. A lot of people don't know much about him.
So, but again, I'm not going to argue because I'm not sure. I didn't follow him at all. Yeah. So you follow both of them.
He was married 3 times. Let me just put it out there.
Yeah, I don't know anything about her husband. So
married 3 times.
So you can make that.
Married in his early 20s, divorced, and then he got her. Now he's sticking with her because she got the opportunity, the networking link.
Yeah.
People she knows funds his website. His website gets funded.
She's connected.
Yeah. So, but you have a YouTube channel and then you talk about the same stuff. I want to wrap this up because I know you probably got to go. You got a YouTube channel. You talk about the same things like social justice, what's going on at the Capitol, president stuff, politics.
Yeah. So during the COVID whole, like the pandemic, and all of the civil unrest and the murders of Black people and brown people, but particularly Black people. And the whole thing that's been happening, but it just went totally off the rails at this point. People kept saying, well, you got to do something. We got to do something. So I felt like my voice is my activism. So what I decided to do during the pandemic, I started my podcast, Stop Brutalizing Black Bodies, because to brutalize people is not always physically harming them. It's also economically harming them. It's also academically harming them. It's also harming them in the world of healthcare. We get harmed in many ways as well as physically harmed. So I thought that the name could broaden my opportunities to talk about all kinds of subjects, not just when a cop has killed us or something like that. So I've had it since the pandemic. I think my first episode jumped off in June or July. I've done about 19 episodes now, 19, 20. So for that particular platform, it'll always be something related to happening in the Black world that we feel is an injustice, whether it be education or whatever. So that's kind of my newest baby, but I still did a fun little short called Girls Matter, and it's fun. And it's something about, I just won an award in the Tokyo International Short Film Festival, a 5-minute short about.
Congratulations.
Thank you, boo. about a lady here in Newark, New Jersey, who she experienced sexual assault as a child and domestic violence as a young lady, and she never had any place to turn or anywhere to go. So because of her experiences, and she grew up in the projects in Newark, which I did not, but we were poor, but we didn't grow up in the projects, but she had all of those boxes checked. So she wanted to be able to start an organization where she could be kind to girls and create an environment where girls felt safe and they could learn leadership skills and self-esteem. So I focused on this young lady named Cameron Anque, who was the ambassador of the organization, and let us tell the story about why these things she's learned at this organization is good for her and how it's benefiting her. So I did a little bit of a short about this amazing woman and this young lady who is giving us the idea of how this is important to the community. And it's not just Black girls. Any girl can be a part of the organization. It just happens that Newark is mostly a Black city. So it's mostly Black girls, but you have girls of other races there as well.
Yeah, you have a production company. That's what you do.
Yes.
Like you have a company. Lisa Durden Unlimited Productions.
Correct.
Just for everybody that wants to know. And then they can find you by searching Lisa Durden. I mean, you're everywhere. Just search YouTube, Lisa Durden. You'll see all the dislikes on the video. Everybody saying boo hoo hoo hoo. Me personally, I'm like you. I don't care if I get dislikes. I don't care. It's whatever.
I get a lot of likes.
Yeah, or dislikes. I don't care.
No,
it still helps.
The thing about dislikes, people tend to pay more attention to the dislikes because it's tea. They don't notice all the millions of likes you get because that's not
I noticed it on the Fox News.
I've had it on. Yeah. It's not just that. It's lots of things I've done. People loved and liked. Right. But I don't. When you're out, you'll learn. I mean, because you've been doing very well with your
thank you.
Platform.
It's been a while.
I love it. So you'll learn that even if you're the nicest person in the world and you did something great, you're going to have dislikes.
Of course.
Even though you're thinking you dislike that, I'm like this young
people still watching, even the haters, they still watch.
Exactly. So
I feel like you're more prone to an audience being who you are as a person with that personality than you are with just something safe. I don't like safe. It's boring.
Right. So I'm never like having an issue with who doesn't like me. I'm real, and especially now when they say you're real grown at 56, I really am real grown. I don't care.
I thought you were like, I was like 40 something. Then I checked your
crack,
Wikipedia. You were surprised, and I said your age. It said 50, 55, 56. They don't have a direct age for you on there.
56.
But
some of that stuff is wrong on there. But yes, they said I was married or something. Yeah, but most of it's right.
Yeah, but lastly, like when I check because sometimes I look who's subscribed, and I saw you. I was like, let me see if I can connect with her. Yeah. Oprah. Yeah. I almost forgot about that. How did you meet Oprah? Then I'm gonna let you go.
So Oprah, So Oprah, a friend of mine produces, and he's a director and producer in Hollywood, a producing friend of mine. So he was like, I'm gonna be in New York at the Henrietta Lacks screening, which is Oprah's film that she did about 2 years ago about a woman named Henrietta Lacks. They used her body for all of her stuff in science and didn't pay her family or her for all of her whatevers. Genes or whatever. So they did a story about it on HBO, and they did the screening, and then they did an after party. So I got invited to the screening by my friend who knows Courtney B. Vance. He produces for him. And so Courtney B. Vance was in the film. So, it was there. So I'm there, and it was one of those kind of like, if you ever go to an industry event, you have 2 layers. You have what you call the velvet rope, and you have the guest list, and then the velvet rope. So you could be on the guest list, but then there's still a velvet rope. But in that room, when you got in the room, you're equal to everybody. You're walking around seeing Maxwell the singer, Andra Day, Oprah Winfrey, Gail. They're just floating around in front of you, Lee Daniels. So once you got into that room, you were in there.
The evils of the industry, basically. Some of them.
So anyway, and there were stars who were trying to take pictures with Oprah. There were celebrities like, y'all trying to hawk Oprah? Don't y'all see her all the time? So it was a big crowd of folks around Oprah. I said, I can't mess with that crowd. I'm just going to mind my business. And I was talking to Regina King and different people. But then as the night went on, about 12 o'clock, people were emptying out. Oprah was there. She must like to hang out. I saw that she was by herself now. It's empty. I just walked up. Her security was a big Black man, was like looking at me like I was crazy. He didn't stop me. I said, Miss Winfrey. And she turned and walked up to my face, and he was stood to the side. And we just started chatting. That's how I met her. And we took selfies.
What did she tell you? What did y'all chat about?
I didn't want to act all like, stalkerish. So I just kind of told her I love her. I've always been a fan, and I love the film, Henrietta Lacks. I'm glad you did the film, and thank you for, putting that piece of history out there. And I was waiting to meet you earlier tonight, but you were busy. So I figured I'd wait now. Do you mind taking a selfie? It was no, I'm a producer and hook me up.
Yeah.
No, I just didn't act crazy because I feel like I'm not a religious person or a spiritual person. I don't believe in religion and all that, but I do believe in energy because, you know, you have.
Well, that's energy, spirituality. That's energy. That's what I like about her. She talks about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I question the Harvey Weinstein stuff all the time.
Well,
I mean,
I feel like,
but I like when she talks about that stuff.
Yeah. If it's meant for me to talk to Oprah about what I do, it'll present itself again.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like I had to hawk her, stalk her, act greasy and desperate and thirsty. I just did.
Yeah, I mean, I read The Secret. You know, it was, and then she interviewed him on the show. Like, I like when she talks about those things, but I always question the bad stuff, and you know.
Well, with the Harvey Weinstein thing, she's not just Oprah. Many people work with Harvey Weinstein, not just.
Oh, Oprah. I know he's
at the time,
but they were friends.
There's many friends were with Harvey Weinstein, not just Oprah. There were times where, this is my deduction. My deduction is there were lots of people, because of his power, who let his production company produce things with them. Oprah Winfrey and the Weinstein Company, and many other people, Glenn Close and lots of people. Do I feel like all of them didn't know anything? No.
Right.
I think many of them heard the rumors, and some even were raped by him and didn't tell and will never tell. Who is that? I don't know. Is it Oprah? I don't know. Do I believe Oprah heard? I'm going to say at minimum, because maybe he abused her too, but I'm going to say at minimum, do I think she heard something about what he was doing? Yes. Do I think that her and anybody else, men or women, who did hear but didn't know for sure, should they have separated themselves from him? Morally, yes. But then
you wouldn't get to where you want to go. I'm
saying why they might not have decided to do that.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, because he owned Hollywood.
Yeah.
Now, fast forward, here's my issue. So my issue isn't what happened then and you didn't know for sure. My thing is, all of you who did know, why aren't more of you saying, oh yeah, I didn't know? The more celebrities who come out against him, because he's in jail now. No, but I'm saying now, why aren't you?
Because they're scared. It may ruin audience.
He's in prison now.
Audience, not of him, not of his old ass.
No, here's what I think. No, we know he's. We all know. We all kicked him to the curb. Here's what I think it is. I think to open your mouth is going to now expose that something happened to you, and you don't want to tell what happened to you. It's a personal. I think it's personal why a lot of them aren't saying anything.
Yeah. I just give my hats out to Rose McGowan because I'm a fan of Charmed. I love Charmed, and like I felt bad for her and stuff like that.
Absolutely. So, yeah. And again, I'm of the mind that if a person has been sexually assaulted, raped, molested, or whatever, it's not our job to tell them they should tell, or they should tell in our time. If they choose to tell, they do. If they choose to never tell, they don't. And if they choose to tell years later or right away, that should be their decision because it's already traumatic as it is.
Yeah, my issue is not the telling. My issue is working with that person and knowing that this is what he's doing. You see what I mean? Kind of like with the whole Matt Lauer situation. I know Katie Kirk probably knows some ish about what he did and stuff like that.
He probably did stuff to her.
I'm saying she was on Wendy, and Wendy, like, she was looking at Wendy like very awfully because Wendy just gave it to her. Like, I'm sure like he probably knew X, Y, and Z and stuff like that. The button in the back room where he pressed it and they go back. Yeah, like, you know, Megyn Kelly, she twirled, you know, for an executive. She said that. I didn't watch the movie, but there's like a movie.
But at least Megyn Kelly came out when the lady told on the man at Fox. At least Megyn Kelly came out and said, yes, it's true what she's saying, and she didn't just let the lady sink by herself. Yeah. So at least Megyn Kelly said, yes, I'm aware that that's true what he did because he did it to me. So at least she did that. Yeah. I mean, I'm thankful for that. Actually, I met Katie Couric. She's super duper.
No, she seemed nice. No,
she's amazing. Just, no, but to your point, yes, I agree with you.
I mean, I could like her and saying she's nice, but I can still be critical. Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
like I'm critical of Wendy all the time. You see what I mean? Right. She lied. She lied about the funeral. I called the funeral home the other day and I made a video about it. She lied about the casket. She lied about the fight. She lied about everything. Kevin Hunter Sr. going there, stopping the fight. That was all lies. And, you know, he or she didn't want to tell me, like, but I asked an indirect question pertaining to what happened. And I got the answers that I needed, you know, but she lied, you know.
Yeah, she lied. So yeah, but I mean, I've been a Wendy fan for years since she was.
I like her personality.
So she's been lying.
I don't like Ellen. I like Wendy better. Right. Ellen's a trash.
Right. So she's Wendy's been lying for years. Wendy says I'm a straight shooter. Pow. No, you're not a straight shooter, Wendy.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
So anyways, they can find you on Lisa Durden. Everything.
Yes. So check me out on YouTube. YouTube and / Lisa Durden or LisaDurden.com, or I'm on all social media. Lisa R. Durden on Twitter, Lisa R. Durden on Instagram, Lisa Durden on Facebook. I have a fan page. And thank you for the interview. I'm glad we connected.
No, thank you. And lastly, I want to say this because people that watch me, they want to learn how to do this. And I get inquiries about that all the time. So even myself, like advice, like what would you somebody advice that want to
I'm not
to like commentary on TV or just starting a podcast or something like that, what would you say to that person?
Right. So because I'm still trying to get where I'm trying to go to, but at least I'm in midway. I just say start. I say don't be in your own head and cancel your own self out. So when I started the podcast, it might morph into something different than what it is now, but I started the podcast. And then if you want to go, and so just start your like you did, you start your YouTube channel and put content there. And don't worry about how it's going to be. It's going to morph eventually into, you're not going to be the same in 5 years. No. And then here's a tip, which I've done before.
I was before.
No, I understand. So if you want to be a person that commentates on other folks' platforms like radio, TV, digital stuff, I find that what's really great is LinkedIn. Get a LinkedIn account.
I have that for a long time.
But I type in keywords. Type in these keywords. The booker for whatever place you want to get booked for. Type in the booker for. I'm gonna just make up a show for the Ellen DeGeneres show. The booker for. No, I'm just making up a show. Give me a show. No, give me a show.
I can't stand her. I hate her.
Give me a show you want to commentate on.
I don't know. Chris Cuomo.
Okay, the booker for the Chris Cuomo, name of the show's called Primetime. The booker for Primetime Chris Cuomo, and their names are going to come up.
Oh, that's giving me advice right there. You're helping me out.
And then when their names come up, then you just send them a nice little message and say what you want to say. And now you need a little piece of tape. You need a professional headshot. Get your resume together.
A resume reel. Oh Lord, I don't have none of that stuff.
No, you're real. I've seen your
I just started going on camera. I just started.
No, but that's okay. A reel is only like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be the same reel in 5 years, but you can put a reel together now. You got some content, you got a photo, you got your platforms, so you can edit a little bit.
I'm good looking. I hope.
Cute, 2 to 3 minutes, and your best bites, and then you can send them a little piece of tape.
Most of it is B-roll though. I just started for it's been a week and a half.
That's fine.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
Because I don't have the camera that I wanted. I'm trying to buy me a good camera.
but see, you're lucky now. You're starting at the time where most people have to do Zoom now. They're used to this look.
Yeah.
So now that we have this, don't wait until we get back to we're no longer Zooming and we're back to normal.
Right.
They're a little kinder now to this kind of look because everyone has to do it, even major networks. So now you can get in there. You won't look so weird. It's not like it was like 2 years ago and you're showing them a Zoom, clip. So, but now it makes sense. So get in there now. So that's how you can find some people.
I feel like I'm too direct for most of these shows, though. No, I mean, I'm respectful, but
I don't think you're too direct. I think people are fine.
Me being Palestinian, especially with CNN,
Well, I think what these platforms try to do is they try to act like they want to have impartiality. So they do bring on various different voices to play like they're doing real journalism. But you always can tell if this is a conservative platform or a liberal platform. But even Fox tried to act like they weren't conservative. They brought on people like me, so because they're still supposedly news. So they will bring on voices. Now you might get hated by people watching or loved, right? Or then if you don't care, then go for them.
I don't.
Then go for it. Okay, well then that's how you find some people that you don't know.
So you think I have a chance? I mean, based on
absolutely, yeah.
I feel like I do,
and also too because of your age. Also too, people are interested in
I speak Arabic, Spanish. I'm first generation American.
Yeah, and I think people are interested in young voices as well, not just old school people that have been in the game a long time like myself, but young voices too. Thank you, boo. But young voices also because they know that y'all the kings and queens of the social media world. Mm-hmm. So they need to bring more, they need to keep those voices in there. They can't ignore Gen Zs, Gen Xers, and all that stuff. They can't ignore you, millennials. So they're going to bring you guys on. So I think the way to do it is, you know, and we can talk about you. We can talk about.
I want to call you. Yeah. I want to tell
and so you can. Yeah, you can call me. We can craft a little messaging so you can come in and you can approach it the right way. Because you want to 2 or 3 lines on what to say, and then you kind of hit them up and you follow up here and there, and you keep doing it until somebody says yes to you.
No, I didn't want to be rude. When you gave me your number, I didn't call you because I want the same reaction as the viewers are going to get. I don't do the whole, let me call you, this is what we're going to say.
I'm saying
I want to be introduced to you on camera during the interview. Because I feel like eliminates the reaction of talking to somebody. So you don't get that surprise.
You don't want, you don't want to be. No, right. But I'm saying for you going after platforms that you want to be on, call me and I can tell you how to say if you don't feel comfortable, like what should I say to them? But otherwise, you're fine. You'll get in there. So those are my tips.
Okay. And then last question, I keep coming up with, the last question is, what is your goal? Like, what did you wanted your ending point to be? Like a Wendy or Oprah? Like,
I did want Oprah at some point, but I realized that's not who I am. Mm-hmm. So I think I like the podcast platform to I want that voice to be a little bit bigger. Mm-hmm. I want to be more of make sure I make my films and tell our stories in my community. I have many stories to tell, so a filmmaker. And then if I want to continue to, I think the podcast, that's a video, podcast is also, sometimes it's just audio, but I think I like the podcast world more. I think I want to go in that direction but obviously, funded, because I think that's a platform that I would feel comfortable with, where I could really be myself and not worry as much about and be the producer of that. So I don't really care if I don't end up with an Oprah Winfrey show or a Wendy.
But that was your ending point.
Initially, I wanted to be like an Oprah Winfrey.
Because I was going to ask you why you think you didn't make it to that.
Well, no, initially I wanted to be a newscaster like no one knows her name, Sue Simmons. She's long.
Oh, I know who that is. Wendy says her name all the time.
Platform where I have panels and like the Joy Reid kind of scenario.
Well, Wendy says her name all the time. That's
she was a newscaster for a long time. Yeah, that was one of my icons initially, and then Oprah. So I think my platform is more like commentary, where I would like a Joy Reid kind of scenario.
I kind of have my little thing about her, yeah.
Yes, I mean, I don't, so sort of like that. Or a Melissa Harris Perry when she got fired from MSNBC, but she had a good platform. So more like I'm hosting, I'm the comment, and then I have some people on the panel and we're chopping it up. I kind of like that.
So why didn't you get to that? Why didn't you get to that point?
Because lots of reasons. It's not because of not having talent.
No, right.
I think I can't prove it. I think it's because if I were the white version of Lisa Durden, I would have been out the box already. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Well, I guess Wendy went her own way. Wendy did her own thing.
Well, you'll always get 1 or 2 black people making it out of the battle. Right. Because that's just called life.
Yeah.
But when you look at 46 million blacks, we're not all doing well.
Yeah.
That's how many black people in America.
Right.
So you'll always get 10 basketball players and 40 rappers or whatever the numbers are, or 2 filmmakers. But anyway, I got to run. Actually, I have another meeting.
No, you're good. I'm going to let you go.
And send me the link. I want to see it.
No, I'm going to hit you up too. I don't know what your availability is, but I'm going to text you. And then if you want to talk tomorrow, whatever, when you have time, we can talk about networking.
Let's do it next week because I'm in a film festival.
Yeah,
not a festival, but next week I'm good because I have real screens until the 4th. So I just squeezed you in here because it's like a TV festival. It's a TV festival. I'm at webinar. I'm watching webinars and all that kind of crap. It's crazy.
All right, bye. All right, bye. Thank you.
You're amazing. Bye.